today, the Word. Yay, and I'm so blessed that you all came to hear it. Okay, give me a second here. Let me get myself... Am I on?
No tango signal.
Okay, well, let's just... Yeah, well, it's on.
We got a red light. Do we need a green light? Nope.
Yeah.
The light is red.
Check.
It is red.
Send the light.
I mean, I could probably just talk really loud,
Alright, he gave the thumbs up. Try talk.
Oh, is it on? Oh, woohoo! We're on! Yay! Okay, so, I'm going to... I'll do it. Thanks, Andrew, for protecting my female sensibilities or whatever. Okay, so, let's start in Hebrews 11. You don't need to turn there if you don't want, because I'm going to read it out of the Working Translation, Walter Conan's Working Translation. But you may turn there if you wish. So we're going to be in Hebrews 11, verse 6, and it says, "Now without believing it is impossible to please God, for he who approaches God must believe that he exists, and that he becomes a rewarder to those who seek him. By believing, Noah, being instructed concerning things not yet seen, acted with reverence and built an ark for the salvation or deliverance of his house, by which he condemned the world and became an heir of the justness according to believing." Okay, so this is Noah's legacy in the Hall of Faith, Hebrews 11, right? This is what Noah is known for in Hebrews 11. And so we're going to read a little bit about him. Are you all familiar-ish with Noah's record in the Bible? You know, big flood, ark, animals. Yeah, we'll get there. Okay, so let's go to Genesis chapter 5 to begin here. Genesis chapter 5. Now, Genesis reads like a historical record, right? Genesis is a historical record of things that actually happened. Okay, so you need to read it like that. And, you know, and we read the Bible reading it exactly how it's written, right? And we don't add our own ideas, we just read it. So we're going to do that with Noah's story here, okay? So Genesis 5 will be in verse 26. We're going to start with a little bit about Noah's genealogy here, okay? Verse 26, "And Methuselah lived after he begat Lamech 782 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 182 years and begat a son. And he called his name Noah, saying, This same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord has cursed." Noah means rest, comfort, or consolation, for the record. Verse 30, "And Lamech lived after he begat Noah 595 years, and begat sons and daughters." Okay? So there's a really important thing we need to note in this, and that's how long people were living. Do you know how long 969 years is? Can you really conceive of that? Like, you math people, maybe subtract a little.
29 minutes.
Yeah, it's a long time, right? It's a really long time. Can you imagine living 969 years? You know, I think we underestimate ancient man a little sometimes, because you cannot live that long and not be incredibly smart, or, you know a lot, or have built a lot, have made a lot, okay? Yeah, there you go. Okay, and so we are going to go back to verse 29, and we're going to read this one more time. Lamech, which is Noah's dad, right? He called his name Noah, saying, "This same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord has cursed." Right? That happened after the fall, right? The ground was cursed. And So Lamech was aware of Adam's sin, right? He was aware of what happened. They were aware of the fall. This was not something they didn't know about. It was a long time before that, but they were living 900 years. So to them, not that long of a time. Okay, so keep in mind that they knew what was going on here. So verse 31, and all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay? So there you go. Noah has 3 kids. Again, length of life, 777 years. That's a long time for Lamech to live, right? So let's go to chapter 6, verse 5. We're going to skip parts of this because we don't need to read it all and we don't have enough time. So verse 5 of chapter 6. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Okay, is God a merciful God? Yes. Is he a just God? Yes. How long were people living? 969 years. Methuselah is the oldest man, 969 years. It's not like he didn't give them a chance, right? It's not like they didn't, this is like thousands of years that these guys are living. Only evil continually. So God sees this and knows it's not going to change because they don't change living this long. It's not like they didn't get a chance to change. Okay, but verse 6. Let's go to verse 6. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. Okay? And verse 8, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Right? He found grace in the eyes of the Lord, which is really wonderful. And it's not like God ever changes, right? It says in the Bible that God never changes. So he doesn't change, but people do. And these people weren't. So, But God looks on the heart, right? God, that's what he sees. So he sees these people's hearts, and that it's only evil continually. Every imagination of the thoughts of man's heart was only evil continually. Can you imagine that? I mean, that's something, that's really evil. That's really evil. And the adversary took advantage, right? Because man was promised more than what he had when he was in favor with God. Ooh. And the adversary is a treacherous betrayer. So, hence we have the flood. Okay, so the legacy of believing was not being passed down. And that's important to God, right? God honors believing. How do you get born again in this administration, in the grace administration? How do you get born again? Believe, right? Confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord. Believe that God raised him from the dead. Believe on Jesus Christ. How do you get born again in the Old Testament? Or how do you get saved in the Old Testament? Believe on Jesus Christ. You see, that's what it says in Hebrews 11, right? Abraham believed and it was counted him for righteousness. Noah believed and it was counted him for righteousness, right? You believe on Jesus Christ. But they weren't passing down that legacy. They knew Genesis 3:15. It wasn't written down yet, but they knew it, right? They knew that there was someone coming who could save them. God promised that. But they didn't believe it. And so, God honors believing. So, let's go to verse 9 of Genesis 6. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations. And Noah walked with God. And when it says that Noah walked with God, it means walked habitually. It was his habit to walk with God. He walked with God in his daily life. he didn't just walk with God when he felt like it, but always he walked with God, habitually, right? And he made mistakes, he's a man, whatever. You know, that's how it is. But he walked habitually with God. Verse 10, and Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. With Cain, the first murderer, as their example, I am not surprised. But, you know, as Paul shared, we can learn other things from that record, but not right now. Right now, we're gonna continue here. Okay, so verse 12. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shalt thou make in the ark, and shalt pitch it within and without with pitch. Pitch is like resin, to make it waterproof. Okay, so let's skip ahead to verse 17, because this part just talks about how he's going to make the ark, and you can read that on your own free time. Verse 17, and behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. People say this was a local flood, you know, just in that one area. Well, what does this say? I, behold, do bring a flood of waters upon this section of the earth. No. What's written? Upon the earth, to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. From under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. Okay, this was really a big event. So, you can keep your finger here. We're going to go to Genesis 2 really quick. Oh, no teaching. Genesis 2, we'll be in verse 4. These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth, and watered the whole face of the ground. Okay, so how were plants getting watered? Mist, right? Mist from the earth. That's how plants were getting watered. There was no rain. No one had seen rain ever. But God tells Noah, it's going to rain a lot, and it's going to flood the whole earth. So you need to build a huge boat. And of course, Noah obeyed, right? So let's go to chapter 6 of Genesis again. We'll be in verse 18. So God's just told him everything's going to die. I'm going to bring a flood. Everything's going to die. Verse 18. But with you, Noah, will I establish my covenant. And thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee. And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female. Of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, 2 of every sort shall come unto thee, to keep them alive. Let's note something. After their kind means genus, right? Genus, right? Which means that he would have brought 2 bears. He wouldn't have brought like 2 black bears and 2 grizzly bears and 2 polar bears, because Noah didn't have polar bears where he lived. So, but he brought 2 bears, right? So 2 of every kind, right? 2 of every kind. That's all he needed. Verse 21. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be for food for thee and for them, the animals. Thus did Noah according to all that God commanded him, so did he. Right? Do you think that maybe it would have been just as easy for Noah to say, nah, that sounds like a lot of work. Capturing all these animals, putting them in an ark. I don't think I will. You know, I mean, probably would have been easier maybe. But Noah obeyed, right? He definitely obeyed. He obeyed. He brought all the animals in and he built the ark and he did what God said because he knew that what God promises is true. So if God says there's a flood coming and you need to get everything in the ark so that the entire living life is not wiped out, then that's true. So he just did it. Okay, so let's go to chapter 7, verse 1. And the Lord said unto Noah, Come down all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens. Okay, this is important. You need to note this. Clean beasts, clean animals he takes by sevens. Clean meaning able to be sacrificed and eaten. Okay. Take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his female. Okay. Of fowls also of the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon all the face of all the earth. Because what do birds do? They spread seeds, right? That's one of their functions, right? So he needs them to do that after all of the plants have been drowned in water. Verse 5, And Noah did according to all that the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. Okay, so there you go. Let's skip ahead to verse 15 because this all is, just details. And you can read that on your own time. Verse 15, And they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. Okay? So, let's keep going. And they that went in male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. Okay. I need you to imagine for me that it's raining a lot, and the waters are rising, and people are losing dry land, right? And there's lots of people on the earth, just tons of them. And they see this ark, and they're like, oh my gosh, Noah was right all along. And what do you think they're going to try to do? Get in the ark, right. But God needed to shut them in to keep people from getting in the ark, and to keep them safe, no doubt. So, God shuts them in the ark. They're shut in the ark. Verse 17, And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark, and it was lift above the earth. And the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl, and of cattle, and of beast, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. All in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land, died. And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days, about 5 months. That's how long 150 days is. You just need to think about that, right? Everything that's on the face, every single person that Noah knew outside his family, right, died. All of them. Every single person. I mean, that's not a light thing. It's just not. It's a big thing. Chapter 8, verse 1. And God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark, and God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. Okay? So the water remained for a long time once the rain stopped, and then God sends a wind, and the waters went away. Okay, and Noah sends the bird out in all of that. But we're going to skip that part because you can read that on your own time. So, verse 15 of chapter 8. This is the good stuff. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee of all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful, and multiply upon the earth. And Noah went forth, and his sons and his wife, and his sons' wives with him, every beast, every creeping thing, every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth after their kinds went forth out of the ark. And so Noah, they all get out, right? They all get out of the ark. And it's important to note what the first thing is that Noah did. Okay, verse 20. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. That's why he needed 7 of the clean, right? Because he was going to offer offerings, okay? What were burnt offerings and sacrifices for in the Old Testament? They were to temporarily atone for sins, yes, but a big purpose was to remind these people of the promise of Christ. This is what Christ is going to be for you. This is what he's going to ultimately accomplish for you. He will die for you in place of you, so that you might be free from sin. Right? This is what they were looking forward to. Because, you know, they lived in incredible bondage. They had God, but not to the degree we do. They didn't have that freedom we do, right? But they did have the hope of Christ's coming, right? They knew there was a Messiah. So this is what Noah does, you know? What a cool thing. He's just seen every single person that he knows, besides his family, die because they were living in sin. And he offers burnt offerings to God. Because, you know, you can bet that Noah knew he wasn't perfect and that his family wasn't perfect, but that they had attained this salvation from the death of the whole earth. I mean, that's amazing, right? What a great time to think about Christ, about their coming Messiah. Wow. Okay, so verse 21. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. Okay. Isn't that really cool? That's just amazing. What a promise from God. And we won't read the rest because you kind of know the rest with the rainbow and all that. Plus, we don't have time. But what a thing, you know? Everyone else is dead. No one knew that was the fate of all mankind without Christ. Right? He knew that. But he also knew there was Christ, eventually. And so, what a thing, what a fitting time for a sacrifice. You know, Noah had to have been real thankful he was spared with his family, you know. So we're going to go to Hebrews 12. I'm going to read it in this again. Hebrews 12. I'm just going to close here. Hebrews 12, sorry. Okay. Verse 1. It says, Therefore, since we have such a great cloud of witnesses encompassing us, let us strip off every impediment and entangling sin, and run with patience in the contest lying before us, looking with undivided attention to the leader down the path and perfecter of the right way of believing, namely Jesus, who because of the joy lying before him endured the cross, disregarding the shame, and sat down at the right side of the throne of God. By all means, attentively consider him who has endured such controversy from sinners against himself, so that you are not weary and exhausted in your souls. What a cool thing. You know, these Old Testament records are important, right? Because we can follow their example and look forward to Christ. Granted, you know, this is Christ's second coming that we're looking forward to, but it's Christ. So what an amazing thing, because we are living the promise that they looked forward to. Now, that's what we're doing. And so we should live our lives in light of eternity, in that we look forward to Christ and all that's promised with him. So that's what I've got for you.